Hey guys, thanks for joining me. It's Fred. I have another video for you. Guys, some of these videos, I don't know when this one was put out. I don't really even look at the date when these videos, some of them's older, some's new, some of them's, it doesn't really matter to me. I know some people says this was an old video, show new stuff. Well, that's not my point on this channel. My point on this channel is to show stuff. Probably don't think you're going to see on this channel, at least for the next while, until I get off this kick that I'm on, trying to help reform police officers. The only stuff you're going to see is probably abuse, police abuse of citizens. I don't care when it happened. There's no such thing as it's been too long ago, or it's too old, or it happened. And that's my point in showing these videos, is to show a pattern of behavior that's been going on for a long time, and it's even getting worse today. And if you don't believe it, just follow this channel. Just look at some of the videos on this channel and look at some of the repeat offenders, especially in the Kentucky State Police. The offenders that was in trouble before, but instead of being fired, they were, some of them wasn't even disciplined, period. But if they were disciplined, they were left on the job and they done something, the same thing again, or it's something even worse. Anyway, here's the video. We'll talk at the end of it.
At 6, the NAACP, ACLU, several disability rights organizations, and multiple state leaders are all demanding action because of an ABC 15 investigation.
We exposed the video showing two Phoenix police officers immediately going after a deaf man with cerebral palsy, then repeatedly punching and tasering that man. Tonight, our investigation into this case continues.
You'll hear directly from the two main officers involved, but before we get to that, we again want to show body camera footage of this full incident, so consider this a warning. The video lasts about a minute. It is violent, and it is difficult to watch.
Everybody stop where you're at. Let's see. Take it. Get your hands behind your back. Get your hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. Get your hands behind your back. Hold them. Move. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back. Ultra X-ray taser deployment limits. Hand behind your back. Hand behind your back.
Guys, I'm going to give you if you haven't figured it out already, most people have, but if you've ever been tased, of course, if you've used a taser, you've probably been tased in police work. You can't move when you're tased. Watch how some of these police departments work. They'll say, put your hands behind your back, tase. They'll stop tasing, they'll say, put your hand behind the back, and then they'll tase again. You got to give the person a chance to do it, because when you're tasing, your body's tensing up, your muscles, your system is locking up. You can't move when you're being tased if the taser is working effectively. So that's something for the courts, for the jury to see, so they can think, oh, they kept telling him, put his hands behind his back, put your hands behind. You can't put your hands behind your back. If you're being tased, you're tensed, you're locked up. So that's just a...
Get more. Hand behind your back. More. Hand behind your back. Hand behind your back.
Hands behind your back, and he starts tasing again. This is known as nothing but punishment. This is these officers' way of conducting punishment upon this victim. This is not a suspect. This is a victim at this point. They are victimizing him.
Hand behind your back! Now! Hand behind your
that takes us to tonight's story. Phoenix says the arrest is now under internal investigation.
But that hasn't stopped those officers from going to court and making sure that man was officially charged with assault and resisting arrest. Here's ABC 15 Chief Investigator Dave Biscobee.
We were in court for what's called a preliminary hearing. Basically, that's a hearing to decide if there's enough evidence for charges to go forward. And that means the two main officers had to take the stand under oath.
Since that day,
This is Officer Benjamin Harris, and this is Officer Kyle Sue. They're in court to testify against Tyrone McAlpin. He's deaf, he has cerebral palsy, and he's here for a judge to decide if there's probable cause for his arrest on August 19th, 2024.
let's see.
So why did officers go after Tyrone? It's because a Circle K called about this guy. His name is Derek, and while Derek was being removed, he pointed at Tyrone walking across the street and claimed Tyrone had assaulted him.
And you didn't confirm Derek's story with any of the witnesses inside.
No. Why don't you wait here for a second?
Derek's story would end up being false, but in that moment, the officers decided to take Derek's word at face value, leave him, and go after Tyrone.
We already established that when you pulled into the parking lot and yelled at Tyrone, he didn't respond to you, correct?
Correct.
Did you check to see if he had headphones in?
I didn't notice.
Did you check to see if there was a reason why he couldn't hear you?
No.
Did you try to wave him down?
No.
During your initial interaction with Tyrone, you wrote that Tyrone raised his hands. Can you describe what that looked like?
Yeah, he raised them in a manner that appeared to me he was going to use them to punch me.
Punch you? Or were they raised in a defensive manner to block an assault? From the time this officer jumped out of his car, he took off running after the black fella. The black fella raised his hands in defense. He's walking through the parking lot, and all of a sudden he's attacked. But just wait, it gets better when you get to the judge.
So he raised his hands like this?
No.
Can you demonstrate again, please?
Yeah, he raised them in a manner that appeared to be ready to strike me. So what that communicated to me is I was about to get assaulted, not that someone was giving up.
Now, is it possible that Tyrone raised his hand to protect himself from your punches?
That's not what his body language communicated to me.
I'm asking you if it's possible.
I
Are
don't
you
know
saying
if
it's not possible?
I
Okay.
don't know if it's possible.
Is he a body language expert? I wish the lawyer would have asked, where's your certification for that? This was nothing more than a man defending himself.
So just underneath my ring finger at that.
If you've noticed the cast on Officer Harris's hand, it's because he broke his finger arresting Tyrone. And at the end of his testimony, the prosecutor asked Officer Harris how all of this could have been avoided.
The defendant had just put his hands down or said, I can't hear, or I need to write, or something like that. What would you have done?
I would have had him sit down, made motions with my hands to have him sit down, and then I would have gotten a pen,
You wouldn't have
paper and pen out for him.
You wouldn't have punched him in the head and knocked him to the ground and tasered him?
No.
Now, let's get to the testimony from Officer Sue.
As I was going to pull in the park, I looked over and observed the defendant actively swing at Officer Harris, and then as I was putting my car in the park, I jumped out and ran over there.
Sue's body camera fell off, but during the arrest, he testified that Tyrone bit his hand.
Can you hold up your hand high so we can see and show the judge exactly, show the point where it was that he bit you?
Right there.
Okay.
There's no body camera footage that shows the bite. And here's what happened when Tyrone's attorneys asked the officer to go through the video.
Anyone in there?
Nope.
And stop at the moment when he says Tyrone bit him.
Right there.
The moment Officer Sue pinpointed is when the other officer's camera pans up and you can't see Tyrone. The defense asked Sue if it was possible that he cut or scraped his hand on Tyrone's mouth or the ground while choking him. But Officer Sue said no and denied using a chokehold.
Is that your arm there, directly around his throat?
The one on the bottom?
Yes.
That's my arm.
Okay. And that is around Tyrone's throat, correct?
Looks too hard to tell.
So how is this not a chokehold?
When I think of a chokehold, I think of two arms from the same person.
In a bizarre moment, the prosecution then got back up to prove Tyrone bit the officer. first showing pictures, then asking for a demonstration.
Would you open up your mouth and stick your wrist in your mouth?
Say again?
Could you open your mouth and stick your wrist in your mouth? And then pull it out to the side? Did you just cut your arm?
Objection, Your Honor. This is extremely speculative and really doesn't.
Overruled. I just watched him do it. That's not speculation. He's demonstrating.
Officer, did you just cut your arm when you did that?
I did not.
At this time, I do believe the state has presented sufficient evidence to
In the end, the judge found there was probable cause for the criminal case to move forward against Tyrone. The judge didn't give an explanation, but the ruling means Tyrone still faces felony charges.
The judge ruled there was probable cause to send to a grand jury. This man is innocent, walking through a parking lot. The fellow that they responded to initially that was guilty pointed at him in the parking lot solely to divert the officer's attention. They pull over there and they jump out and they start attacking this man. He purely defends himself. And this judge found him in unbelievable
Charges of aggravated assault and resisting arrest.
Mr. McAlpin, this will conclude today's hearing. I'll have you stepped over to my bailiff just to sign for those release conditions, but good luck to you moving forward in your case.
Good luck to you moving forward in your case, because he didn't have the guts to call it like he seen it, afraid that there would be in my opinion, a lawsuit against the two officers for jumping on an innocent person in a parking lot. Wow. Guys, things have to change. They have to change. I'm pro-police, pro-law enforcement, but we can't continue to act and do as what's been going on here the last few years. Or probably it's been going on a long time. It's basically just been brought to the forefront since the cameras, since cell phones. And now we're really getting to see what goes on behind the badge. Guys, thanks for joining me. If you like this channel, please like and subscribe. We'll have more. Bye.